October in Toronto ends differently when a season goes long. The air gets heavier. The lights feel brighter. And every unanswered question from a World Series loss echoes louder in the off-season silence. Game 7 against the Los Angeles Dodgers didn't break the Toronto Blue Jays. It sharpened them. Because getting that close enough to taste the championship, changes an organization. It strips away excuses. It clarifies priorities. And it leaves one unavoidable truth hanging in the cold Canadian air. Standing still is not an option. The Blue Jays enter this winter not as dreamers, but as contenders with unfinished business. Their roster is deep. Their pitching pipeline is crowded. Their offense is productive, but not overwhelming. And after a World Series run that fell one game short, hunger has replaced hope. Toronto doesn't need marginal upgrades. They need impact. They need a bat that changes the geometry of the lineup. A presence that tilts close games. A player who doesn't just produce, but alters how opponents prepare. The easiest answer has always been right in front of them. Bo Bichette. Bringing him back would stabilize the infield and keep continuity intact. But free agency is a minefield, and Toronto knows better than most that easy doesn't always mean possible. So the front office has widened the lens. Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Yoan Moncada, Kazuma Okamoto. Different profiles, different costs, same goal. But beyond free agency, another door quietly creaks open, the trade market. And suddenly, one proposal has started to linger in the background, too bold to ignore, too logical to dismiss. Trea Turner, to Toronto. At first glance, it feels radical. Turner is entrenched in Philadelphia. 8 years remaining. A $27.2 million annual commitment. No public demand to move him. No obvious pressure on the Phillies to sell. But trades aren't born from public pressure. They're born from private calculus. Heavy.com floated a deal that immediately turned heads. Blue Jays receive Trea Turner. Phillies receive José Berríos and Addison Barger. A massive swing for both sides. And when you strip away the shock, something interesting emerges. This trade makes sense. Start with Toronto's perspective. The Blue Jays need offense, but not just power. They need diversity, speed, pressure. A lineup that doesn't wait for mistakes, but forces them. Turner offers exactly that. In 2025, his numbers mirrored Bichette's more closely than many realize. 179 hits to Bichette's 181. 15 home runs to Bichette's 18. A .355 OBP, nearly identical to Bichette's .357. Different players. Similar production. But where Turner separates himself is movement. 36 stolen bases, 8th most in Major League Baseball. Bichette stole 4. Turner doesn't just reach base. He changes innings once he's there. He distracts pitchers. He opens holes for hitters behind him. Over an 11-year career, he has reached 30 stolen bases in 7 seasons. Speed isn't an accessory for him. It's a weapon. Add to that his 7 triples in 2025, 10th most in MLB, and suddenly Toronto's offense gains a new dimension. On a team already built to score, Turner doesn't just add runs, he multiplies them. Now look at the other side. Philadelphia isn't losing Turner because he failed. They're considering it because of fit, depth, and future flexibility. José Berríos may be nearing the end of his Toronto chapter, but he's far from finished. In 2025, he made 30 starts. Again. A 9.5 record, 4.17 ERA, 138 strikeouts. It was his 5th consecutive season reaching the 30-start mark, even while battling injuries. Durability matters. And in a Phillies rotation that currently pencils in Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, Aaron Nola, and Zach Wheeler, who may not be ready for opening day, Berríos becomes insurance. Stability. A mid-to-late rotation arm who can absorb innings while Wheeler recovers. A pitcher who allows Philadelphia to deploy Brad Keller as a temporary starter, then slide him back into a bullpen role where he thrived. And if Berríos opts out after 2026, that's flexibility. If he doesn't, 2 more years at $24 million total. A manageable price if the fit works. Then there's Addison Barger. Not a star, not yet, but promising. In 2025, Barger logged 112 hits, 32 doubles, 21 home runs, 74 RBIs in 135 games. More importantly, he's versatile. 91 games at third base, 57 in right field. 2 areas the Phillies have been quietly looking to upgrade. Barger isn't Turner, but that's not the point. He's controllable, adaptable, and still climbing. In the right environment, he could take a meaningful leap. For Philadelphia, this isn't subtraction, it's redistribution. For Toronto, though, the emotional undercurrent runs deeper. The World Series loss didn't just expose tactical gaps. It raised questions about identity, about how this team wants to win when October compresses margins and mistakes become fatal. Speed plays in October. Defense plays. Pressure plays. Turner checks those boxes. And while promoting a prospect like Rodolfo Castro remains an option, championship windows don't wait for development curves. Toronto has been here before, trusting potential when certainty was available. This time, they may not hesitate. This trade isn't inevitable. It's not even imminent, but it represents something bigger. A philosophy. Toronto is no longer asking if they should push. They're asking how hard. As spring training approaches, the Blue Jays infield will be one of the most closely watched storylines in baseball. Because every move from here forward will be judged through one lens. Does this get us back and over the line? Trea Turner doesn't guarantee a championship, but he changes the math. And after coming 1 game short, sometimes that's the difference between remembering a season and finishing it the way it was meant to end. So as the snow settles over Rogers Center and the off-season chessboard takes shape, keep this idea in mind. The next great Blue Jays moment may not begin with a swing. It may begin with a decision. What would you do? Run it back or push all the chips in?